Do you know what your problem is? And I don't mean the obvious stuff like the fact that you're a 5 on the Norwood scale, that you don't know how to talk to women, and you think Japanese isekais are superior to Chinese and American ones. And I'm talking about your problem in Deadlock. You see, you, whether you realize it or not, you're a passenger. Let me explain. A passenger is someone who logs into Deadlock, queues up a game, plays the game, and while they're playing the game, they have no clear objectives. Oh, sure. They want to win. I mean, who doesn't want to win? But they're not actually doing anything tangible to win. What's that I hear? But Grimbles, you say, removing the sleep apnea mask from your face. Yeah, I pick up the 7, and I press the 4, and I get the kills, and we win the team fight. And you know what? That's great. Honestly, I'm impressed that as a 7 main, your occipital lobe is developed enough to distinguish between the 4 and the 9 on your keyboard. But regardless of whether you get the kills or not, it doesn't actually change the fact that you are a passenger. You are playing the game without thinking about what you're doing. Sure, you join the team fights and you might recognize the urn sometimes, but I could literally rotate you out with anybody else and the result of the game would be the same. You're not detrimental to your team, but you're not actually changing the outcome of the game as much as you think you are. And let me be clear here. If you play Deadlock and you're somewhere between, say, Obscurus to Archon, and you play just to have fun, well then more power to you, man. But if you click this video, you obviously want to get better at Deadlock, and that's kind of the whole point. Actually, this video is part 1 of a series going over the concept of being a passenger, and I'm going to partner it with a couple of shorts I'm going to sprinkle in between videos, and I think you'll enjoy it, as in the real world, I'm actually a teacher. Yeah. I'm just as worried about the future of America with me in the driver's seat of education as you are. But hey, if you want to get better and this video vibes with you, or you're just attracted to my sexy baritone voice, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button, because I literally live off the approval of strangers on the internet. Plus, when I'm not playing Deadlock, I'm sometimes talking about the girl I knew in elementary school who would draw Hamtaro ex Bijou child vor in her notebook. So, you know, game help and story times. Alright, shameless plug over, let's get back to the video. Yeah, where was I? Oh right, as I was saying before I got distracted, this video is a first in a series, and it's going to be focusing specifically on the first 12 minutes of the game. As unless you're playing a hyper rundown game where everyone is just taking walkers at 7 minutes, most kill brackets outside of high Eternus won't see the lanes truly dissolve until the first urn run. I mean, you know, if one lane has a victor in it, that laning phase technically never ends because those dudes live in a perpetual state of samsara. But for everyone else, it really should be over by 12 minutes. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the first 12 minutes and break down what you should be doing at almost minute intervals and show you a game I played where I tried to follow that timeline right up to about the urn run. Kind of like a whole explain it and then show it in real time sort of thing. So let's begin. Now, whether you like it or not, the laning phase has 2 main objectives and an optional objective. Objective 1 is to secure as much of an early game lead over your opponents as you can through resource starvation and farming. Objective 2 is to hit your 3600 soul power spike before them and guarantee you and your ally an early game kill. Believe it or not, taking the Guardian is that optional step. You don't actually need to take it before the laning phase ends, especially if you're doing other things like ganking or farming jungles. But you know, it's kind of nice to get, gives your whole team souls. And running parallel to these 2 main objectives are 5 timers that, whether you realize it or not, you're a slave to. And they are a 2-minute T1 camp that respawns every 90 seconds after they're destroyed, a 3-minute box spawn with designated box routes for each lane. They can either be short or long, depending on what we're doing at the time. More on that later. At 5 minutes, bridge buffs on either side of the map spawn, which refresh every 5 minutes after that. These are huge, but we're going to talk about them during my VOD. And then 8 minutes, we have Sinner Sacrifices. They can lead to roaming, ganking, and then helping a support get ahead, as the time to take a Sinner Sacrifice are a set variable for all heroes, as opposed to camps where some heroes just can't take them while others clear them in seconds. Then finally, 12 minutes, Urn, end of the early game. Also, keep in mind, while these timers are set in stone, Yoshi is as fickle as the Fae, and is going to change them either right before I release this video or a day later. So if that happens, just move the time slider around, and it should still be relatively accurate. And with that in mind, let's move on to the VOD. Though, Quick note, as we walk through this, I'm going to pause on occasion to expand upon things that occur during the game that may not be obvious to most viewers at first. Alright, so in this particular game, I was playing Lady Geist, which may come off as weird to people who have joined my channel recently, as I'm pretty well established as a Kelvin main, but that wasn't actually always the case. You see, I love this evil woman with every fiber of my being, and I've been playing her for over 2 years at this point. Like, no joke, I would crawl through broken glass in the cellar hall of a bioweapon convention just to get an opportunity to interview to be her butler. Like, on God, dog, the Bene Gesserit must have messed with my amygdala and made it so that I would willingly bury a youth choir for this woman after she fed their souls to Oathkeeper. So it really shouldn't come as any surprise that she's my second priority pick when I queue up. Also, for reference, Rem is my third pick, as I think all the sports gambling ads I hear at the gym have started to get to me, and now my teeth physically itch whenever I see an unattended sinner sacrifice. Alright, rant out of the way, let's get to the VOD. Now, I know this might sound a bit try-hard, but the second you load in and you see your lane partner and who you're laning against, you need to consider one of two possibilities. On paper, is this a lane I can win, or should I play the long game? Now, in the situation we're seeing here, I'm running Geist with an Abrams partner against a 7 and a Celeste. As far as compositions go, Abrams is a pretty 7 out of 10 laning partner for me, as despite him not having anything that covers Geist's major weakness of having, not a real big kid advantage against airborne enemies, his shoulder charge often gives me more time on leech if he lands it against a wall hit, which also locks down enemies for an essence bomb and soul exchange. Celeste and 7, they got a really strong lane presence, but there was nothing here that made me go, dog, I need to get out of here before I end up as a stain on the floor. Actually, for reference, one time I went Geist against a Grey Talon and Vindicta, and I honestly just debated walking to a river with rocks in my pocket. If that kind of situation ever happens to you, trust me, just swap out a lane, no matter what it takes. There is nothing you can do, and you're really only going to hurt your team with your stubbornness. Alright, so we start the lane, and immediately, my Abrams loses his one shared brain cell all Abram players are allowed to have for 4 milliseconds every day, and makes 2 mistakes right out the gate. He dives the enemy, despite not having trooper advantage, and doesn't bait out a parry. And because of that, he gets absolutely obliterated by Celeste, forcing me to come to his rescue and body block while he gets to safety. Now, an Abrams player being an idiot isn't exactly groundbreaking news, but it highlights a huge issue I often see with new players, or players that get stuck in lower ELOs. He didn't respect the troopers. You see, like it or not, these little monsters absolutely run the early lane. Outside of their position determining if you can push up or not, they do way too much damage in the beginning to unsuspecting heroes. Like, check this, you can try to trade with someone, land a 60 damage skill, and then suddenly be down 100 health without the enemy firing a shot. And yeah, bringing this up is not really relevant to the core principle of this video, but the whole scene with the Abrams right here was the perfect opportunity to point these guys' damage out. Back to the VOD, we're hitting close to the 2-minute mark, and I want to offer you guys up a little tip. If your ally is limping along, and you're kind of doing just fine with health, you can back up as far as possible, usually around like the arm bend of your lane, and let them get a whole heal crit for themselves. You see me do this here, and this one trade-off puts Abrams completely back into the fight. And as we move forward, we hit the 2-minute mark. Now, as I said earlier, that's when you should rush the T1 camp, but you'll notice none of us do this because there's too much juicy action going on in the lane. And this actually goes on till about 2:30 when they clear a wave before us and push us back. Like I said, respect the troopers. And this allows the 7 to solo his T1 camp while I fall back to give Abrams another solo heal. And at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Grimbles, real talk, man, you chose this game? Nothing's going right, you're missing the beats, your Abrams is an idiot, and a Celeste, of all heroes, is denying you. That's like getting your ankles broken by a paraplegic in basketball. Like, dog, what are you thinking? Pick a different video. Surely you got something better to show us. And the fact of the matter is, you're right, yeah, I do. About 3 days before I finished this script, I actually had a game where I hit the 2-minute creep camp, the 3-minute box run, the 3:30-second creep camp, the 5-minute bridge buff, the sinners, and everything else. And you want to know something? If I showed you that game, it would look really great, but at the end of the day, those games are kind of the exception and not the rule. Real games are messy, which is why I chose you this messy game where things keep going sideways, and not a game where I look like the absolute gigachat I am when I play Kelvin. Though, between you and me, that Celeste denying me so much got me so mad, I actually locked myself in a hyperbolic time chamber for 2 weeks playing Kovacs because I never wanted to be embarrassed like that again. Yeah. Tangent aside, back to the game. 3 minutes roll around, and I do a box run. And actually, let's talk about box runs, because much like everything in Deadlock, there's nuances to boxes. Look. There's a lot of different types of box runs with all sorts of little intricacies that will have the top 100 players arguing for hours about the merits of each and every possible situation. Well, okay, pro players except for Metro, as he normally stops paying attention at 18 minutes. But regardless, for simplicity's sake, getting all intricacies out of the way, I'm really only going to focus on 3 types of box runs. Quick box runs that usually involve a handful of boxes immediately next to your shop, usually done when purchasing an item or after clearing the wave knocking at your front door. Mid-length box runs, where the objective is to hit as many boxes as possible between wave clashes. Usually a bonus for lanes that are doing well to continue to pull ahead. Smart route runners usually are going to be able to hit about 10 to 12 boxes for a net gain of around 260 souls at about the 4-minute mark using this method. And then there's the long length box runs. This is often done when roaming for a gank, denying enemies their own box farm, or you're doing it with the knowledge that you're going to sacrifice trooper wave presence in exchange for potentially more souls between you and your partner. I don't actually recommend this if you're just figuring out box runs, as you can end up losing more than you gain very quickly. But hey, yeah, I'm not your dad, despite the concerning number of you that asked me if I would be your surrogate father. So, do what you want, champ. Go ahead. Now, also, last little thing here before we get back to the video. If you do a box run of any length and don't tell your teammate to drop their aggression, I assume you hate them, as any lane duo that sees a hero at half health or lower is going to send them straight to Dropkick City as the Guardian watches on in silence from the proverbial cuck chair because it got parried. We'll get to discussion about communication at the end of this video, but for now, let's get back to the game. As you can see, things continue to progress from here, and we hit the 5-minute mark. Now, in a perfect world, you push the wave at about 4.5 minutes as fast as you can, and you get to event. If you're on the advantage side of the map, that's pretty easy. And if not, and your opponents have any level of map awareness, you may have to duck up to the bridge towers to get there safely. In this particular instance, the 7 beats me to the play, but he made absolutely one vital mistake, pretty common to a lot of players. He hit the vent without checking to see who was on the bridge.
Each time when I come here, I am abused.
And unfortunately for him, Mirage was already there and knocks him out of the sky before he even has a chance to contest the buff. Little hint for you. If the enemy is already on the bridge before you hit the vent, you lost. Pack it up, go home, back to lane, it's over. As for me, I go up to the vent anyway because our Mirage was absolutely dog water at communicating and never said, "Hey guys, I knocked down the 7 off the vent, kill him." And due to this lack of communication, 7 gets away. Once again, in a higher tier lobby where people actually talk, that 7 would have paid for that mistake with his life. But you know what? Actually, let's not focus on that or my blood pressure is going to spike. Instead, let's discuss bridge buffs. I'm going to go ahead and use this spirit buff as an example here, though this technically applies to all the bridge buffs of their respective color. At 5 minutes, the spirit buff is equal to about a 1600 to 2000 soul item, granting you around 15 bonus spirit power and 12% cooldown reduction for 3.5 minutes, scaling to 65 spirit power and 20% cooldown reduction by 40 minutes. These buffs win games, just so you know, and the higher you climb, the less time they sit on the map. In fact, by the time you hit Ascendant, you are frequently running into people who are doing box runs on roofs 20 seconds before they spawn, because in the late game, they're effectively a 6400 soul item that doesn't take up a slot. What I'm getting at here is if you value your butt, do not let the wall breaker Victor with a T3 on his ult get a 40-minute spirit buff unless you enjoy playing pickup sticks with your teeth. Woo! Alright, back to the game. 7 is on his back foot at this point, and we push up to the wave as Celeste can't handle the pressure between Abrams and myself. Weirdly, despite the T1 camp being up for almost a minute, nobody has taken it, so I swoop in to gain some extra souls while we push into them. Here, you're actually going to see an optimal invasion point. For those of you that don't know, come in from the side, out of sight with a clear downwards ramp as an escape route. It's clean, low risk, and easy. Plus, with Abrams on my side, if either of them had sought to counter the invasion, they'd have ended up as a police outline line on the wall. So with the camp taken, we drift towards that second objective I mentioned earlier, the 3600 soul ult spike. Now, depending on your ELO, this can happen at 4 minutes, 6 minutes, or even if you're playing at like Seeker, 8 minutes. But it's gonna happen, and both teams are silently creeping towards it as the early game draws on. And the objective becomes pretty simple. Hit your ult before the enemy, and kill them. Unfortunately, as you'll see in a bit, Celeste and Seven have way better ults for a quick knife fight between 4 people, and at medium health, Geist isn't exactly going to do much to support Abrams. This is something I took into consideration before the game started, and kind of figured Abrams would face tank a Celeste ult while I contemplated a box farm. Look, I know thinking about these things is sweaty, but it's something you should also consider before you finish your zipline push into lane. Alright, back to the game. We win one more trade with the enemy and refuse to let them recover from Seven's vent debacle. Then we push in, nuke Celeste, and turn to Seven. Unfortunately, he gets to live as I completely fumble everything, and we're reminded that soul exchange is totally useless when your enemy is half dead. That being said, it's getting kind of late in this video, and I want to hit the last 2 unique timers before I go, so let's fast forward to about the 8-minute mark. At about this point, you see me cover my Abrams here as he takes our Sinners before going for an invade. Because the fact of the matter is, Sinners are currently broken in Deadlock. At 8 minutes, they're around 250 souls by themselves, and they give you 4 random buffs, boosting each of their value to somewhere around like 500 souls. Plus, as I said earlier, they take the same amount of time for every hero to farm them, so it's a great way for somebody who may not have a great jungle clear time, like a pre-tier 3 Ice Beam Kelvin, to play catch up with the rest of the team. So anyway, we go to invade with an advantage, and after landing a textbook perfect parry on Celeste, I turned to see my Abrams burned out one of his 2 remaining brain cells and went back to farming without me. Rest in chaos, I guess. But hey, this gives me an excuse to teach you perhaps the most important lesson in Deadlock. Do you know what actually wins games? Nah. It's not the Lash with the name written in Cyrillic who rushbot refresher, it's actually communication. Now, I run my microphone on a separate audio track from Deadlock when I record, so I can cut my commentary track and not confuse you guys when I play. But my average round of Deadlock is Yap Central Radio with your host, the DJ Grumbler. Here, you know what? Let me just show you. This is what my audio track sounds like on a normal round of Deadlock.
I'm taking Urn.
This hypothetical is a little bit unrealistic, but stick with me, okay? So you own a house.
In this economy?
You're gonna sell this house, right? And so 2 people offer you money on your house. A nice young couple offers you asking price, and Blackstone offers you 30% above ask. What do you do?
Blackstone immediately. Blackstone.
That's what I thought.
Why would I help anyone that's not rich?
That's how I know I'm back on the American servers. Yeah, you see why I cut that audio track. And as obnoxious as talking and giving callouts may seem, the difference between a gank working and the enemy lane getting a triple kill is simply telling your team, hey guys, I'm showing up, go in and kill them. That being said, I am aware that there may be some things that preclude you from opening up your microphone. For instance, if you're a woman or like a trans woman, I'm well aware that at any time you can turn on your mic and there's going to be a risk. Nobody wants to play and try to be helpful by making verbal callouts just to have some random guy say, how are you playing on a stand mixer, lady? Or, is the reason your death to kill ratio so high because you're trans? And yeah, I realize it's easier for me to get away with these things because I have a deep, powerful voice that commands the respect of the peons around me, and then not everybody has that privilege. But if you're an individual who falls into this category, or you have like a speech impediment, know that I'm sorry. And if you're in my game, the Applefurter bodybuilder, yeah, I got your back. Okay, that being said, at the very least, you gotta use the comms wheel. Trust me, talking wins games. Alright, so in a second here, I'm gonna say something that's way out of date for the current meta of the game. Fact of the matter is, these videos take me months to make because of how much effort and time I put into it, plus how very little time I have in real life. The reason I didn't update the script and, call the rift the urn and the urn the rift is because every time I record new content, I have to go into my recording booth. My recording booth, just so you know, is a closet that I've put a blanket up in and a couple of sound dampeners for everybody. So I don't like dragging a laptop and a microphone in here, so I just ask that you accept this, please. All right, back to the video. last thing for you before we wrap up this video, let's talk about the urn. As you can see here, it didn't spawn in my lane, and I had to wait for someone to bring it over. And for those of you wondering why delivering Grandma's ashes is such a big deal, the souls it gives is almost enough for a T1 item for the entire team at 12 minutes. So you really should always be running it then, at the 18, 24, or whatever Yoshi decides to do interval. Sure, it's not as important as it was back in the early June patch, but it's still the second most important objective in the game after mid-boss. Honestly, I could actually end the video here, but before I do, I kind of want to show you how the fight goes down and how I respond to it. Now, anybody except maybe a Yamato main can see pretty quickly that a Lady Geist, a Paradox, and an Abrams are completely outclassed in a cage match against Celeste, Doorman, Infernus, Seven, and Apollo. But watch what I do. As soon as the fight starts to go sideways, I simply disengage. They get the urn and our guardian, and I do nothing about it. Why? Because despite what you may believe, no objective is worth your life. If you cannot trade your life for 2 or more opponents during an objective contest, just leave it, dog. It's not worth it. Alright, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you realize how important edging every little advantage in the early game is. I'll see you in the next video where I talk about the mid game. Also, you remember that Celeste who was basically nuking my farm for the first 5 minutes of the game? I sent her back to the freak show so hard that she can't step off Coney Island without checking behind her every 10 seconds to see if I'm gonna come finish things off and send her to the glue factory.
Oh my gosh. You see that beautiful girl in the mirror? Oh my gosh, just look at her. She's so beautiful. It's me. Take a good look, got you sprung, got you hooked. If looks were a crime, I'd be the biggest crook. My sexy lips, dreamy eyes, look into my eyes. I'll put you under my spell, I got you hypnotized. I'll make you my fool, my living footstool. I'm beauty, you're the beast, I'm the stallion, you're the mule. I'm looking so good, from head to toe. I see you looking at me, your pants tells me so. I see you looking at me. I know you wishing you could be me. Look in the mirror and tell me what do you see? So tell me what do you see? So what do you see? Roll out the red carpet 'cause the queen is here. And bow down before me and be of good cheer. Have my bath ready and my food prepared. It's not my fault you're ugly. Stay over there. The mirror on the wall. Who's the prettiest of them all? Me. I'm the queen of the ball. I will rise, never fall. I'm forever standing tall. Me. I'm the prettiest of them all. I see you looking at me. I know you wishing you could be me. Look in the mirror and tell me what do you see? So tell me what do you see? You're just looking at me. I'm so vain, so beautifully insane. So don't be ashamed if you got me on your brain. Where the camera's at, flash, yeah, I'm all of that. Flash, you feeling that? Flash, roll my can kiss my ass. Flash, get out my way. Want a picture, gotta pay to look like me. Get on your knees and pray. So ridiculously fine. Don't you ever cross the line. Don't invade my space, 'cause what's mine is mine. I see you looking at me. I know you wishing you could be me. Look in the mirror and tell me what do you see? So tell me what do you see? You're just looking at me. So don't touch my face. Get away. You might get erased. Bye. Go that way. Don't invade my space. What's wrong with you? You better know your place. Goodbye.
I will never kill in my life. 15 fucking
Yeah, don't you ever deny my farm again, you walking bathroom stall graffiti mural. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Once again, one of my most intelligence-intensive videos, and as I have an IQ of like 72, which I guess is something like, the top 72% of all people in a room or something, that's pretty cool. But I didn't actually write this script alone. We have a Eternus 6 player in the Discords I run in, named Icy Rain. This guy is probably the best pocket in Europe. Like, no joke. Like, honestly, look him up on StatLocker. He's phenomenal. And a lot of this stuff that we did here in this video came from him. He actually was telling me as we were working on a game together, he told me that the number one thing he observes is people are passengers. And this is where the whole idea for the video came from. So he's a phenomenal player. If you're in the StatLocker Discord, find him. He gives coaching lessons and he's phenomenal. But keep in mind, he's going to hit you with the Bosnian wrath. So when he's coaching you, he's just going to be talking down on you like a disappointed father when you show him like macaroni art and he's drunk and he's just going to yell at you. So if you can handle that, you're going to get way better. But trust me, Icy Rain, phenomenal guy. Work with him. He's great. Catch you next time. We out.